Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Hope you had a great weekend. Okay, on to business, beginning of the week. Our guest, first of all, this morning is Dr. Sani Abdullahi Shinkafi. He's a former Zamfara State Chairman of the Committee for the Prosecution of Armed Banditry-Related Offenses. A fine morning to you, Dr. Shinkafi.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Okay, now. Well, the news, of course, the latest news in terms of our, our efforts against insurgency, criminality, and all of that is the bandit leader in the northwest, I believe, Bello Turji, who is now calling for negotiations. It's not a new call. So here we are going down that path. We know it is yet to be seen what the response will be from the authorities. But can dialogue end Nigeria's banditry crisis? I suppose is the question that can be derived from all of that. The Nigerian army has reportedly been making great advances in terms of decimating the enclaves of these bandits. And now that they're under pressure, this leader, who isn't the most senior, I understand, this Bello Turji is now calling for negotiations. Tell me, Dr. Shinkafi, what do you make of this?
The emergence of the criminal groups armed bandit for the first 1.5 decades started from the farmers' headers clashes and between also ethnic rivalry groups, that is Hausa and the Fulani groups. The emergence of this group, how they came and group and form Kungye Gayu in 2011, with two prominent leaders who have already been neutralized by the military operatives, Buhari Daji and Kundu from Zulmi local government. Buhari Daji is from Maru local government. When the ethnic clashes started with the Hausa and Fulani, by Ensake and Vigilante group, that would give birth to the emergence of the criminal group armed bandit today we are facing. And the armed bandit have been terrorizing the ongoing space in the rural communities. And that which now escalated from Zamfara State to Sokoto State to Kebbi State to Katsina State to also Kaduna State. So in the initial emergence of armed banditry commenced in Zamfara. So Zamfara is the epicenter of armed bandit and the safe haven for bandit. So with the now ongoing military onslaught offenses against these criminal groups called armed bandit, many of their leaders, like Halilu Sububu, who is the most richest, most strongest, and the most well-known armed bandit across the northwestern region, up to the north central, even up to the Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, has been neutralized on 13 September by the Nigerian military. And many of the leaders of the armed bandits, Sani Black, Dan Makori, Dan Paleri, Jamilu Nazakiru, Walaba Birki, many of the leaders, even Sharme in Kaduna, the person who kidnapped Bastis High Secondary School, was gone down. So with the ongoing military onslaught, many of the armed bandit kingpins, most especially Bello Turji and his partners, are on disarray. And Bello Turji had out and come is in Shinkapi local government in Pakai. He was born and brought up in Chida village under Shinkapi local government in Kuria district. So with this ongoing military offensive, the bandit have released several video clips calling for negotiation with the authority, and he made some revelations how banditry started, and he gave condition how the banditry will end. So you see, it is two-way approach. The government should continue to apply kinetic approach, that is fire for fire approach. And at the same time, the government also should go for non-kinetic approach, that is carrot and stick approach. So the government should look at critically the combined root cause of the armed banditry and now profile homegrown solution. But there should be a condition spelled out in the non-kinetic approach, because similar negotiation was entered by this criminal armed bandit by the Sokoto State government under the leadership of Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, and also the Katsina State governor Aminu Bello Masari have negotiated with the bandit in Katsina State. And at the same time, Bello Mohammed Matole initiated the peace dialogue with the bandit. But these bandits are unsincere, and the negotiation failed after some period of time. So for a negotiation to enter with this criminal group, I want you to take note that these armed bandits are not promoting any political ideology or religious ideology, but it is an economic derived opportunism and a criminal enterprise. So it is the proliferation of the weak or bad governance for many decades, and that give an open, ungoverned space in the rural communities, and these bandits have been rampaging havoc, rapes, kidnapping for ransom, displacement of innocent people, extortion, imposition of levy, and many businesses have been stagnated. Many rural communities in the northwest, more than 2 million, are displaced and also migrated to urban areas. So these are the problem, and there is a lot of combined root cause: porosity of the border, proliferation of small drugs, weak judicial system, corruption in the system. Even there are some unscrupulous and unpatriotic security operatives who are aiding and abetting armed banditry in Zamfara State and some corrupt traditional rulers. It is very unfortunate. Just last week, a personnel of NSCDC was arrested along Sabon Gida to Mada Road, conveying 5 ammo G3 rifle, ammunitions, ammo rocket launcher, and extra drugs taken to Mada and bandit hideout. It's an ASC, Assistant Superintendent of the Corps. It is very unfortunate situation and disheartening. Somebody who has been entrusted with the responsibility of protecting lives and property, and he now derailed, and he has now demonstrated his irresponsible and responsible attitude. And the NCSDC command in Zamfara State dismiss him from the service is not enough. He should face full weight of the law and order. These are the one of the root cause. But as we go on discussion, I will be able to tell you that that is implications. That is a summary of negotiating with bandit.
Okay.
There should be a disarmament, rehabilitation, and reintegration. And it should be unconditional.
Okay. Unconditional, because I was coming to what you have already alluded to. that you can't really trust these people because it's not as
Please,
if...
can you come again? I'm not hearing you well.
Okay, I was saying you have already alluded to the fact that you cannot completely trust all these bandits because we've been doing that for quite a while, and it hasn't yielded much fruit. Now, you have illustrated, I think, that it's a delicate, it's a complicated operation, not an impossible one. I wonder if that has to do with what you've also stated to us, that this Bello Turji that we are talking about now, he is known. He is an indigene, a son of Zamfara, born and bred. And the implication of that is that he's a Nigerian citizen. And it has often been said that, look, it's not as if the military are incapable, but this is not an external engagement. It's not an external war. The military can't go, shall we say, full-handed against, these, quite frankly, the opposition. No, opposition is not even the word. Criminals. That because they are not aggressive foreigners, and even if they were, there are rules of engagement. Is that part of the problem here, that, look, they are our own too, and therefore we cannot extend our hand of vengeance fully? Is that somehow complicating? Because here you are, there were the video reports that, the video clips that you were talking about. Turji was actually implying that the chief of defense staff was his oga, and that in some way, shape, or form they were together, and he was seeking a further cooperation. They will continue to muddy the waters. So against the backdrop of that most important element that you've spoken about, a lack of trustworthiness, are you sure this is not just a situation where they're stringing us along, biding for time, really? And then go back to that important question of, is the Nigerian military unable to deal with them thoroughly simply because they are also Nigerians?
No, I partially agree with you. Turji propaganda of saying that Christopher Musa is his boss is a worthless and useless and mischievous propaganda. Christopher Musa, of which I have known for the first 2 decades, has nothing to do with a criminal, somebody like a Turji, somebody who is against the territorial integrity of Nigeria. So, Christopher Musa, he's from Northwest, precisely from Kaduna, and he has served in even Sokoto. He knows Shinkapi on all the terrain. So it is very mischievous, baseless, worthless, and falsehood. Turji is trying to fabricate to smear the image of the Nigerian military. And Turji have gave a historical background of when the banditry started during the period of the former governor of Zamfara state. In his clip, Amesani Yeriman Bakura. And he go on and describe how the also other previous administration have not contained the situation. You see, this fight against this criminal armed bandit is not fire for fire approach only. Because these armed bandits are unknown pace. It's a guerrilla warfare. So there should be a also collaborative effort within the people of the community who will now give a very important information to the security operatives. But the most disheartening thing, some of the local communities are engaged into banditry. Some of them are aiding and abetting this banditry. Some of them are drug suppliers. Some are sewing military uniform, police uniform. Some are supplying arms and ammunition. some are supplying drugs, some are supplying fuel, some are supplying bread, and many other. It has a value chain. Some people have been incorporated who have now made the fight against this armed banditry very complex. Some of the local community are giving information about the military operation. Maybe if there is any report of armed banditry attack in a community, when the military are passing by in a junction, where you see this Okada junction, some now will now ride the Okada and rush and relate the information to the armed bandit kingpin that the military are coming to attack them. So it's an organized crime. Even the armed bandits have been recruiting informants. People who have been giving them information about the security movement. So with the present security onslaught, Minister of State for Defense Bello Turji was directed, and the Chief of Defense Staff, to relocate to 8th Division Nigerian Army Sokoto to coordinate this fight against armed bandits. And it has yielded result. For 2 weeks now, it has yielded a very positive result. There is a minimal, drastic reduction on daily basis attacks in Zamfara, Katsina State, and Sokoto State. Because Halilu Chububu, as I have said earlier, is one of the wealthiest, strongest armed bandit in the northwest region and even in the north central. Because he sells arms, he gave arm on hire, he sells uniform, he sells extra drugs, he sells motorcycle. You understand? And he coordinates, he's an illegal miner. He mines solid minerals. You know Zamfara State is blessed with the natural resources, that's the mineral resources. So most of these armed bandits, if they hide out, it is where the mineral, there is a rich or potential mineralization area in Zamfara State. So they mine this gold, lithium, metallic minerals, which are very expensive. So these are some of what is sustaining the armed banditry. Even the payment of ransom is what is sustaining the armed banditry. So there should be an intensive military offensive. And people who have been distracting this operation, distracting Minister of Defense for State, Bello Turji, calling him all kinds of names, and also distracting Chief of Defense Staff, and also the National Security Advisor, should desist. It's a serious disservice to the nation. Because these criminal elements are enemies of the state, and they need to be crushed out totally.
Indeed. And what do you make also of what's coming from, well, the political aspect of it, if one can call it that? I'm talking here about the incumbent governor in Zamfara, also taking shots at the Minister of State for Defense, just complicating the whole environment. Of course, the minister has repeatedly denied all the allegations, but you've done an excellent job. You've done an excellent job
all those allegations.
Operation. Please continue.
All those allegations are baseless, worthless, mischievous, and fabricated lies to blackmail the Minister of State for Defense. Let me tell you, it is on record. Bello Turji, when he was a governor, he initiated a peace dialogue with this armed bandit. And when he initiated that peace dialogue, I sat in a committee which was headed by Inspector General of Police, retired, MD Abakar. The name of the committee is Committee for Finding Lasting Solution to Armed Banditry. So that committee, we have worked tirelessly for the period of 4 months, and we submitted our recommendation, our reports. And on that committee, during that the conciliation period, we were able to disband the vigilante group and Ensake, which Turji was calling for. And all the lands which Turji was also talking about, from 1999, the period of Ahmed Sani Erim and Bakura, to 2019, for the 2 decades, Matole revoked all the land allocation and palm land allocated to the traditional rulers and farmers. Because most of these lands or palms land are grazing reserve, forest reserve, and also cattle route. So these are some of the complaints when we go around the 17 emirates in Zamfara state. These are some of the complaints raised by these Fulani leaders and some of their Mieti Allah cattle breeders. So on the issue of this allegation the governor is making, when I heard it, I laugh, because the governor when he was not a governor, during his election campaign, he promised to crush this armed bandit and also restore peace and tranquility in Zamfara state within 100 days in office. So when now he assumes the mantle of leadership as a governor of Zamfara state, he comes to realize, he woke up from his nightmare and realized that he doesn't have such power to fight this armed bandit. And he was there, he now realized that the military, the security chiefs, are not under his control. And now he's somersault and reverse back his gear, trying to apportion blame to his predecessor. The predecessor, Matawale, there was a brief air about 9 months when he initiated that peace dialogue. Some politicians have been using this armed banditry, toying with the life of the people and the properties of innocent people for political gains. When the governor of Zamfara state, present governor of Zamfara state, was going around the Potun local government during the election campaign, he was using this insecurity as a yardstick, as a weapon, in also campaigning against the incumbent Bello Turji as at that time. And that's what gave him popularity, because of the campaign promises. Now he has failed. He's now trying to hide under the of his payload to artificially import blames that Matawale is aiding banditry. So it is very unfortunate situation. It's only in Zamfara state you see people who are toying with the life of people, especially those on the mantle of leadership. You cannot find those campaigns in Katsina. You cannot find it in Niger. You cannot find it in Kaduna. You cannot find it in Sokoto. You cannot find it in Kebbi. But Zamfara state politicians are very terrible people. They can go to extra mile. They can go put it on record. They can go to extra mile to blackmail, to brandish, to concoct any stories against their political opponent for political reasons. So all those calls the governor is in is a political statement. Many prominent people, especially Senator Shehu Sani, has cautioned the governor to face governance. Former governor of Zamfara State, Ahmed Yerima, Abdulaziz Yari, many prominent indigenes of Zamfara State have now cautioned the governor to concentrate on governance and fulfill his campaign promises. So there is no room for playing games or apportioning blame. Let him accept the responsibility of governance. Let him accept the assets and liability. He is the one who campaigned he wants to become a governor, and he has to accept such responsibilities.
Well, thank you, Dr.